All right, this is live from the barbecue department at Wannemakers. I am Steve Crass. I'm the grill department manager here at Wannemakers, the epicenter of grilling here in the western suburbs of Chicago, and located in lovely, beautiful Downers Grove, Illinois. So, welcome everybody. I hope everybody can hear me because my thing is good morning. Good morning, Jeff. Jeff Nichols is on today. Good morning, Jeff. All right, we do have a guest on today. This is one of my good friends. He has been in barbecue probably a long time and long overdue guest. We've tried a couple times. He is a very, 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 very busy man. I know who that person is. Good morning, Kelly. And we've tried a couple times. He's very busy. He's managing partner of the restaurant up family roots. So let's bring him in. It's Duce Raymond from Sweet Baby Ray's Catering. He's got a lot of stuff going for him. So let's bring Duce in and let's get to know him a little bit. Hey, Duce.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
It's going really good. Yeah, been a long time that we've been trying to get this to actually work. So I'm kind of glad that we actually have you on. I know your schedule's very busy, so thank you for coming on and taking your time. And it's good to see you.
It's really my pleasure. Yeah, I know it's been kind of a challenge to pick the right day, but this is cool. I'm so happy that you're involved online and everything you do for the barbecue community. It's really cool, and just wanted to say that I appreciate what you do, and yeah, glad to be here.
I try to do my best. It's actually fun, as you know. Barbecue is a fun thing. You've been in it. You haven't been in it fully your whole life, but I would say you've had a touch in it almost your whole life. So I guess we'll just get the 100 elephant out of the room so we can move forward, and we'll get to know you too. But Duce is actually Duce's dad and his uncle are actually creators of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, which is probably one of the most famous purchased barbecue sauces in the world. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Duce's dad actually created the sauce. Duce's uncle is the namesake of the sauce.
That's correct.
You've been Sweet Baby Ray in for a long time.
Yes, for sure. They started the business back in the early 80s. I was born in 1981, and as long as I can remember, Sweet Baby Ray's has been a part of our family. You know, it's some way or another. I remember as a little kid, going on deliveries with my dad, and I remember we would go see Uncle. We lived in Wisconsin when I was real young, and then we would go down to Chicago to see Aunt Kathy and Uncle Dave, aka Sweet Baby Ray. And I remember, probably 7, 8 years old, putting stickers on little sample packets of Sweet Baby Ray's. And I mean, as long as I can remember, it's been a big part of our family and my life. And, in high school, they called me Sweet Baby to playing basketball. And I mean, it's just it's an unbelievable story how they started out with basically nothing, $2,000, barely a high school education, as my uncle tells a story, and a dream. And they grew it to a $30 million brand in 20 years. They ended up selling to Ken's Foods. We retained the rights to use the name for restaurants and catering, and that's what we do today. The other side of the story is what Ken's has been able to do with Sweet Baby Ray's in the last almost 30 years now since they bought the company. They grew it from a $30 million brand. Now it's an over $800 million brand. It's the best-selling barbecue sauce in retail history. It sells more than the next 7 top sauces combined. It has over a 51% share of the market, which is unheard of in retail, more than Coke has in soda, more than Hellmann's has in mayonnaise. It's just an unbelievable story. I mean, that's why when you go to Jewel or any of these other retailers, they've got, 30 different faces on the shelf, and the next guy will have, 2 or 3. They just have done a great job. It's a great tasting sauce. It's a great name. People love saying Sweet Baby Ray's, and that's part of the success behind it. People think they have something that, especially in the early days, that you haven't heard of before. it wasn't always a saturated market like it is today. There was, 2 or 3 other sauces, and Sweet Baby Ray's was just like, people love saying it. Sweet Baby Ray's, Sweet Baby Ribs, like it just, they came, my uncle doesn't like when people say this, but they caught lightning in a bottle. They were at the right time. They had the right marketing plan, the right price point. And, there was a lot of hard work and persistence and trial and error too. That's why my uncle doesn't like that phrase, because it doesn't capture everything that went into it. But, they were in the right place at the right time, and with God's hand on their shoulder as well. There was a lot going on there for sure.
It worked out. It actually all worked out. Let's go back and say again to some of our good friend Roy says good morning to me, but good morning to you as well, Duce. Our good friend Adam. Adam is in the Air Force. He is stationed over there in Germany, and he says good evening to Steve and you. Someone says hi from LA. That might be our good friend Craig. Jeff Nichols wanted to say Sweet Baby Ray's honey chipotle is my favorite. And Adam also says, love Sweet Baby Ray's sauce. It's the one thing that's always stocked on the store on base. So yes. Sweet Baby Ray's is making its way around. Now to you, because you're, you got the lineage, you have the, your dad obviously was in the barbecue, and so was your uncle. And before one quick question, were they into the competition circuit? Is that why they developed the sauce, or was it something they just enjoy? Because I know when Meathead's on and Ray Lampy's on, they're always talking about the Chicago the Ryko Rib Fest and stuff like that. And were they to the were they into competition? That was their for developing the sauce.
So they were not necessarily into competition, but that is how they got started. So the Mike Ryko Rib Fest in 1982 was kind of what kicked off the business idea. Well, the idea for making a sauce. Dave wanted to enter into the competition, and he asked my dad to come up with a sauce for the name Sweet Baby Ray's. And, he talked to my dad's a chef by training. He went to culinary school, been in the hospitality industry his whole life and his whole career. And so he asked my dad to come up with a sauce. My dad talked to some of his other chef friends and developed the recipe for Sweet Baby Ray's. They'd entered in, I think there was a couple early years where they just entered, had fun. And then in 1985, they actually won second place out of like 700 contestants. I mean, the competition back then was just unreal. I mean, it's so funny to go back on YouTube if you type in Mike Ryko's Rib Fest and see some of the old footage of 1985. It's hilarious, to see these contraptions they were cooking on and people just out there partying and stuff like that. But they actually ended up winning second place. And, my uncle said, we really have something here. He quit his job. He was working at a nursing home or filling prescriptions for nursing homes. And he quit his job, and they just developed a plan to start selling the sauce, and they went at it. And the rest, they say, is history. It's really kind of unbelievable how they got started. But outside of that, they did not do a lot of competitions. We didn't learn about or get into like KCBS competitions until 2010. And then from 2010 to 2018, we were pretty heavy into it. I mean, some of the guys today do, 30, 35 competitions a year. The most we ever did, I think, was 12. And then I started to have kids and things started slowing down. And the last year we did it was something I'm really proud of. We only did 5 competitions, but we were the top ranked team in the country for doing 5 contests or less. We had 2 reserve grand champions that year, first place category wins in multiple things. I love the competition part. I've been competitive my whole life, whether it was basketball in grade school or when we were in culinary school, different competitions that the teachers would have us do. I love the competition scene. It's just so much time and commitment, and it's expensive, as everybody that's in it knows, especially now with the high quality meats that you have to get to do these competitions and entry fees and everything else. But I love the competition part. My kids and wife, God bless them, I love them, but they take a lot of my time besides the business. So there's just not time for doing competitions.
So, and then, so obviously your dad was a chef, and was that part of your decision to go on to, because you are an accomplished chef. You're not just you're not living off of the name Sweet Baby Ray, and you're not, competition wasn't your thing. You actually went out and you are a certified chef.
That's good. So basically, I mean, I grew up going and working for my dad, 14, 15 years old. I was in the kitchen, washing dishes, cooking on the line. My dad was a chef, and he was a tough guy to work for. He was kind of an old school chef where he was hard on the people in the back and even harder on the people in the front. And I've seen grown men cry based on them making a mistake and my dad chewing them out. And that's something where I kind of went the opposite way in my management style. But anyways, I always said I wasn't going to be a chef. My dad was always at work. He was always stressed out. It just wasn't going to be my plan. So I did a community college for a year, knew I wasn't going to do that for 4 more years. No way. So then I moved out to Utah with some buddies just to get a different perspective on things and change it up, live out on my own without my parents and really realize my passion for food out there. Worked for a chef at a California cuisine restaurant, and it was just an amazing experience. I was out there during the 2002 Winter Olympics and had a great experience, but I did not like being away from my family during the holidays and stuff like that. So I moved back in with my uncle and went to Kendall College. So I actually completed a 4-year degree at Kendall, which is rare. Most people get a 2-year degree in culinary school, which is associates. I have actually a bachelor degree in culinary arts. And I love food. I love the process. I love the camaraderie of the kitchen. So I love everything about it. And I'm so blessed today to be doing something that I love. I tell people that for me, catering is amazing because you're always doing something different. You're in different venues. You're doing different menus in front of different people. You could change things up where if you're at a restaurant, a lot of times the most successful restaurants, they do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's what makes them efficient. And that's what makes them successful. Like you go to a Johnny's Beef. Well, they make like 3 things, but they're freaking amazing, and that's what makes them great. And that's my mentality. I mean, I like doing the same things over and over again, but with catering, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room because you're always going to get special requests. So then you get to play a little bit and get creative with some other things too.
And just in case if anybody's wondering and they're looking at Duce and they're sitting, it's like this man has not been around food his whole life. If you go to some of the photos from Duce's past, Duce did at one point look like your typical barbecue chef type of person. He was a lot heavier, and he probably right when we first started talking to each other is when you really started, because you were a little heavier when I first met you, and so that was around the 2016 time frame, and Duce has lost a lot of weight. So congratulations, one for losing it, and 2 for being able to keep it off. Because I think it's almost sometimes it's great and exciting when you lose it. It's even harder to maintain losing it.
That's a whole separate podcast. But it's part of my life now. I was 300 pounds and drank all the time and ate unhealthy. I still eat barbecue almost every single day. I still go to the restaurant and test out the brisket and the ribs and stuff like that, but I just don't eat any of the other stuff, or I don't eat too much of it. You have to leave the cornbread and the mac and cheese and stuff like that. The meat is fine. And crunchy pork belly burnt ends like we just posted, man, I could eat that stuff all day. But you got to have a little control in some other areas. And it's just been a lifestyle change for me that I'm excited about, and I'm going to keep it going for sure.
So you become a chef. So now you're a chef. You did this. You do that. What made you decide? Did you work for a lot of restaurants before you decided to open your own restaurant, or what made you decide to open a restaurant?
So that's a dream of most culinarians, to open up your own place. I worked for, I couldn't even count how many different places and odds and ends, pizza places, hotel kitchens, steakhouses, all different stuff. I worked for Jimmy Banos for a number of years while I was in culinary school at Heaven on Seven, and learned a lot there and took a lot of inspiration from that. Jimmy is still a great friend of mine, and we just talked earlier this week. So I worked at all different types of places, but not knowing the ins and outs of the financial side of things, I might have made some different decisions, but that's what I wanted to do. I actually wrote one of the things we had to do in high school was like write a letter to ourselves, in 10 years or something like that. And I got that letter back a few years ago. And that's what I said. I said, get into the restaurant business with my uncle and or my dad. And that's what I did. And Uncle Dave was, he just had sold his business. So he was, as he says, flush with cash. And, he was done taking his vacations. All of his friends were still working. So it's like, he didn't even feel good about like going on vacations and everything like that. So he wanted something to do too. So we found a location based on proximity to Uncle Dave's house. And that was not the good, we did so many things wrong. And that's probably the biggest thing wrong. We didn't pick the A location based on traffic patterns or anything like that. We got a restaurant close to his house. We're still there today. And, but, a lot of different things we would have changed. Knowing what I know now, when you see the next Duce's Wild restaurant, it's going to be a whole different concept. And we're excited for that. It's still a couple years down the road, but that's something that I'm excited to do, gathering all the knowledge from my own experiences, but also being in this industry. How the barbecue people are so amazing. They talk to each other, they share information. I mean, I've never been part of another community that there's no secrets. Everybody is so willing to share everything, whether you're talking about restaurants or sauces and rubs or competition. People are open slate, and that's what the great thing about the barbecue community is. So, having said all that, why did I want to get in the barbecue restaurant? Because I had that mindset. That's what I wanted to do from when I was a kid. And, we did it with a ton of mistakes along the way, but we're still open today, and we've improved on a lot of things, and, looking forward to the future as well.
All right, let's recap some of the people on here. Facebook user. Again, if you're coming in to watch the show and it asks you to let StreamYard use your name, please let them use your name. They're not going to send you anything. You're not going to get listed, but at least I get to see who you are. So hello to that Facebook user. My good friend Greg, who volunteered with me down in Port Charlotte, he's on. He says, "Hey guys."
What's up, Greg?
And then another Facebook user says, "I may want to go to the Wooddale location for lunch now." So that's a point. I highly recommend it. I mean, if I whether it be I always call it, whether it be a blessing or a curse. All my favorite barbecue places to eat are very far away from me, which is probably it's upsetting because I can't go to them as often as I'd like to. But in a blessing side of it, it's probably a good thing because I'd probably spend a lot of money at them. And two, I'd probably be eating at them almost every single day if they were absolutely close. Bringing up case in point, yeah.
What's your, of the newer barbecue restaurant, what's your favorite, or what have you found that's been interesting to you of some of the newer restaurants, the barbecue restaurants that you've been to? Because you go to more of them than I do now.
My top five, I do always have a top five, and it's like triangle. We got, I do like one Smokehouse. I do like Sweet Baby Ray's when I can get up there. Beach Avenue Barbecue. Anybody that's got a good food, it's good food, and I know it's family owned. I don't go to a lot of chain restaurants just because they all somewhat taste similar. I think you can feel the love. Steamboat Barbecue's in there. Obviously Greg and Christine up there at Chicago Culinary Kitchen, which is barbecue, but I mean, it's barbecue on a whole different, they do a whole different level of different foods and ambiance, so those are probably my favorites. To me, it's just the food. I mean, as long as the place looks somewhat different. It is nice and it's clean and it's got a good thing to it. It's all about the food, and brisket's a big one for me. And those places that I've named off all have really excellent brisket, because that's what brisket's probably the hardest thing to actually make taste physically good. Anybody can make a pulled pork that's pretty decent, but to me it's brisket. So and those places I named have outstanding brisket, as your place does as well, and that's right up there on Irving Park Road in Wooddale. And if anybody follows me on the Thursday night show on It's All About the Barbecue, we actually started, and Duce, you were the very first one, and it was back in 2021, I think we did the first one. It was the week of Barbecue Love, and we did the Barbecue Love tour, and probably Duce is probably Duce probably had the most, if to put 2020 and the pandemic into anything, it would be Duce's voice calling me the day, because it was right before our garden show. And that's what we started going to hell in a handbasket. Everything was closing, all the mandates and all this stuff were starting to come out, and this and that. And Duce called up and said, I can't make it. I just can't make it. I just lost my catering. Things just canceled all within an hour. I mean, if anything put a reality on the whole situation as far how this was going to affect certain industry, it was Duce's phone call. And so when 2021 came around, and I heard a lot of the bantering and chattering on Facebook about how there's nothing you could do because we can't go to our restaurants, and that kind of made me mad. That's like, well, yeah, you can. I mean, you can do carry out, you can pick up, you can do stuff to actually help them. You can buy gift certificates. So that's what started the Barbecue Love Tour, and it was made to help you guys out and just put money in the registers and show people that you can actually do it. And so every year when we start the Barbecue Love Tour, every January, usually it's a visit up to Sweet Baby Ray's, because they were the first. And you'll always be that way, because that's it's good. It's good food. You're good people. And it's a nice restaurant to support. And it's very small. I mean, for those of you who haven't been up there, it is a small restaurant. Duce is right. It is a very small. If you get these 30 people in there, it's going to be super crowded, but
yes,
your staff is excellent and personable, and it's just a nice venue. It's a good place to go. So kudos to you on actually building a nice restaurant. And so then you have now the restaurant's going. We get out of the pandemic thing, even before that. So then you're doing the catering thing, but you also have another company, True Cuisine, I believe, if it's still that name, that does a lot of the catering aspect of it.
That's correct. Yeah. So basically, we started the restaurant in 2005, and then we had a lot of things going on early on. Dave was always looking, and he's still this way. He's always like looking 10 years out into the future and how we can grow this stuff, thinking about, kind of capturing that lightning in a bottle again, like he did with the sauce. So it's like, as soon as we opened, it was like, okay, now what else are we going to do? And a lot of that, again, we learned so much from where we started that, we probably wouldn't not necessarily have done everything the way that we did. But anyways, so then in 2008, we opened the larger location, the Sweet Baby Ray's in Elk Grove, which was actually closed due to the pandemic. And then in 2010, we bought True Cuisine, because we saw this need for catering. As soon as we opened, within the first, 6 or 8 months of opening the first restaurant, people were calling us, can you cater our birthday party? We have an anniversary party. Can you come grill in our backyard? So we knew that there was something there. People wanted it. They wanted to have an experience, not just come to the restaurant. So we bought True Cuisine to kind of accelerate our learning curve on catering. And there was a lot to learn. True Cuisine was a boutique caterer in Wheaton, Illinois. We bought for Gene True, and that was a whole nother, thing we had to learn and perfect. And, we started in 2010 really focusing on catering, and the way we approach it, similar today, our thought process has changed a little bit over the years, but, we approach it as we're one company. And we're two brands. We have Sweet Baby Ray's Catering, and we have True Cuisine Catering. Sweet Baby Ray's is everything you would expect it to be, down home barbecue, homemade sides, fun, interactive. And then True Cuisine is more weddings, elevated, elegant, that type of thing. So to use some more of my chef background, and things like that. So, but today we do 60% of our catering business is weddings. And we
Nice.
do this year, we're going to do over 310 weddings, like 315 weddings or something like that. And the corporate business is weird because 2015, 16, we were doing way more corporate business than weddings. Things have totally shifted. We're way more wedding focused now. And a lot of that had to do with the pandemic, where people still were getting married. They weren't letting that thing stop them. There was 1 year we kind of lost everything, but I think we had even an overflow. So we had everybody switch that was done in 2020. We had them switch to 2021 after May. And, things really haven't slowed down since. We've been really blessed with how things worked out after the pandemic. And even the little restaurant, things like you were talking about, people coming to support us when they knew times were tough. I remember getting a phone call from my buddy Joe when I was posting on Instagram to tell people we were open, we were doing carry out and stuff like that. He's like, "You got a smile or something. you look like you're gonna die on this camera." And I went back and looked at the video. He was absolutely right. I was like, because it was scary though. I mean, we really didn't know what happened. It's it seems like yesterday and 100 years ago at the same time. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was a scary time. That restaurant actually ended up, after people figured out, like, this is all we got. We have to go pick up our food, and there's no other restaurants to go sit down and eat at. The barbecue restaurant actually did okay during that time because that's all there was. Uber and Grubhub and all that stuff helped out immensely. So we did all right, but we do so 1/8 of our business is the restaurant, and the rest is catering and a little bit of other things we have, like Duce's Wilds and stuff like that. So losing all that catering business hurt a lot. But having the restaurant go, at least kind of have some cash coming in and to support the business. And of course the PPP money and all that stuff, helped, keep the catering. If we didn't have that, I don't know what we would have done, but that helped keep the doors open. And now, like I said, since we were able to open in 2021, like I think it was May or so for catering, we haven't looked back, and we've been nothing but growing since. So it's been really exciting so far.
Yeah, well, that's good news. I'm glad your other friend said that you weren't smiling, because that was probably like the number one tone in your voice when you called that day was it was pretty much of a like, what the hell's going to go on? I mean, I really don't know. It was like, am I going to be in business in 6 months? I mean, it was like, is this the death nail to everything I said? That there was that in the voice, and that's what. Like I said, that's what brought the seriousness of the whole thing, kind of like, wow, this is actually going to affect a lot of people I know. Because obviously all the people the restaurants I named off, I know all those people, they're all friends. And that was like, oh my God, if Duce is in this point, they're all having the same heartache. So let's see, we got that Facebook user, that was Mike Lip. Mike Lip actually volunteered with him in Port Charlotte as well. He's local right up there, kind of by you, kind of a little bit west. He's a great family person, so he'll make it up there to eat, I know for sure. And then Greg was asking, are you going to go to the MBBQA conference for 2024?
I can't commit to he's always asking me to come. I want to come. I actually was asked to speak at the Cater Source convention, and I have to see how those schedules conflict and stuff like that. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to enter the sauces again and rubs again. We did pretty good last year at the awards, so maybe I could come at least for the awards.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned this, and actually before the pandemic and before all that other stuff, you were rocking and rolling, and you did come out with your own brand of sauce. There they are, Duce's Wild. This stuff is fantastic. And this is good. This is really good too. I'm not saying that this one's not, but this is actually great white sauce. What made you, obviously you got sauce in your blood. What made you decide that you want to try for your own lightning in a bottle and come out with your own line of sauces?
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny because it was kind of a challenge from Uncle Dave to see what I could come up with. And and really what kind of kicked it off was the Awards of Excellence that's hosted by the NBBQA. So we made, I had been playing around with sauces for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years to use as specials in the restaurant. We did a whole thing, crazy, like weekly specials from different regions in the United States. We did a Eastern Carolina, a Texas special, the Alabama chicken. And so we had been playing around with different sauces for a number of years before, but then in 2000, I think I'm going to get this wrong, 14 or 15 was the first time we entered the sauces into the Awards of Excellence. And we did really well. I think the mustard got second place. And we, over the last from like 15 to 18 or 19, we won a number of categories. We've done really well with the sauces at that competition. And that's really what kickstarted, like, people do enjoy it. We have something here. And more than anything, when it comes down, there's a million good sauces out there. I mean, the sauces you have in your store, or as much as anybody, they're all great. I mean, they really are. There's so much to choose from. It really comes down to the marketing. But anyways, that wasn't your question. The reason why is I wanted to enter into that NBBQA competition, and once I've been on the slowest pace for this business because the main focus has always been the restaurant and the catering business. So I've just been going slow and steady. And now, we're starting to pick up steam a little bit, actually, is we have Jewel interested in bringing us on. There's a couple other stores, a couple other online people, and I'm able to step back a tiny bit from the catering business because we have a bunch of managers in place that are doing an awesome job. Where in 2024, I'm going to focus a little more on my time for Duce's Wild. And then in 2025, we're really going to kind of take it seriously and hit the ground running. I'm actually getting into business with my brother-in-law, who's a very successful guy. He's ready to retire from his main job and focus on Duce's Wild with me. So, of course, being mentored by Dave the whole time. So we have some competitive advantages that way. Like, Dave knows all the ins and outs of the barbecue retail space, especially. And I think with my knowledge of some of the online opportunities, and then, again, leveraging relationships we have and talking to other people in the industry and stuff like that, I really feel good about Duce's Wild. And, I tell people, if I could get, the whole category is north of $1 billion, right? So if I could get 5% of Sweet Baby Ray's business and 5% of everybody else, that's all I need. So it doesn't seem like that outlandish to me, So
no, it's not. You're not shooting for the moon.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we got a promotion going on right now. We worked with Duce, and we always carry his competition sauce. We always carry his white sauce. We used to carry his mustard sauce, and this is the mustard sauce here. It is a great mustard sauce. Yeah, it is a great mustard sauce. So what we're doing is, if you buy any sauce, it can be Duce's sauce, it can be any of the sauces you see here behind me, or any barbecue stuff. You can get a bottle of Duce's mustard sauce for $0.01, because we're going to try and get it into your hands. This is a great sauce, and it used to be on the shelf here at Wannemaker's. I just think mustard sauce in this area, I think, is underappreciated. I just think, because when Duce would come for events, and he still does, he comes to the garden show, and when it's being tasted, this and probably the other one that a lot of people love when they get to taste it is your ghost pepper sauce. And if you only see the red and the white. I used to carry all of them, but believe it or not, when Duce comes, it's actually Duce is usually here. That it's usually Kevin. The ones that sell the most are the white sauce and the mustard and the ghost pepper sauce. Believe it or not, and this one sells well, but it doesn't sell as well as the others, because when they taste the other ones, they can't believe how great they taste. It's just, I think people are scared of mustard sauces. What would be your number one easy recommendation for people where they can use a mustard sauce that may not make it more versatile to them, and it may not scare them as much as to what they can use it for?
I think what's really cool about the mustard sauce is It's everything you would expect in your traditional tomato-based sauce. It's sweet, it's tangy, there's a tiny bit of heat there. It's just mustard-based instead of tomato-based. So I think it's very versatile, but I think it goes great on what my family loves it best is on actually pulled pork. If you put pulled pork with a creamy coleslaw and the mustard sauce, it's outstanding. But you know what? I use it on my kids like cold sandwiches for lunch. I just use instead of mustard, I use the mustard sauce. It's like gives it a little sweet and tangy that kids like. And then the other thing that I use it on is salads. It's you could use it as a salad dressing. It's got that mustardy flavor. It's got a little sweetness. There's no oil in it, so if you're looking to cut calories a little bit, you could do that way for a salad dressing. So I think it is actually very versatile. It's great. Uncle Dave was just on the mustard kick because I told him we were trying to move through some product, and he said he had it on bratwurst. He put it on a chili dog. He had a whole bunch of stuff he tried it on that he said it was great. So I think it's underappreciated and people don't know. The other thing I'll say is you could use it as a coleslaw dressing. Down south, a lot of time they call it chow chow, or it's like a mustard-based coleslaw that is phenomenal on any sort of barbecue sandwich. It's really good.
So if you come in, buy any kind of sauces, try out Duce's, all of them, and then if not, and then if you get something else, you can get we don't have it out. So if somebody's looking for it, stop in, just ask them if you want the Duce's mustard sauce. It is a penny. We're doing a special promotion on. Hopefully that'll drive things and get some return customers, and we'll get it back on the shelf because I really like it. It's one of my favorites. So you're going to kind of step away from the Sweet Baby Ray name just a tad bit with the restaurants going forward, and you're going to try and build the Duce's Wild brand.
I mean, there's no major decisions being made, but the story goes is when we sold the sauce, we retained the rights to use the name for restaurants and catering. And the way the agreement was, it was up to 4 restaurants only. So, and the other caveat is either my dad or Uncle Dave has to be 51% owner of those restaurants. So Dad has passed a couple years ago, right around that time we were talking during the pandemic. And Uncle Dave, while I wish he could, he's not going to live forever. So what the whole thing with Duce's Wild is kind of building up a succession plan. So when the name is no longer able to be used by our company, we have a transition time to Duce's Wild. So I'm so far on the fence on this one because it's almost a no-brainer just to, if we're going to do another restaurant while we can, to use the name Sweet Baby Ray's, because everybody knows the name Sweet Baby Ray's. It makes sense, but eventually I have to tear off the Band-Aid. So I'm still leaning towards, if we do another restaurant in the next couple of years, which I think is very probable, we might just roll out with Duce's Wild and kind of have a new fresh take on the restaurant. Again, using of everything we've learned over the last 20 years in business and kind of making, our version of the best barbecue restaurant we come up with, One thing I know for sure, it's going to have a drive-through, because the I hear from these guys that have drive-through restaurants is crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yep. If there's one thing the pandemic did, is it forced everybody now uses drive-throughs. So you've got your bases covered on that point if you can get a drive-through in there. Well, that's kind of a neat, and it's I mean, you can always do in the beginning. You can do Duce's Wild, and in the corner, a Sweet Ray brand or something like that, or Sweet Ray affiliate or something, just to kind of get people to recognize that the two are connected, and then eventually vanish off that.
That's going to be a huge part of Duce's Wild's success, no matter what. I mean, it's part of my family, my heritage. Why Duce's Wild even exists is because of the Sweet Baby Ray story. And this is what I've been telling people, is like, looking at selling Duce's Wild products, I think the easy part is, if there's such thing as easy in business, is going to be getting into selling the product to the bigger brands, to getting into the store, to getting into Jewel's and Mariano's and Albertsons and stuff like that. Because I have a great story. I could tell them about my professional background and how good the sauce is, and they try the sauce with the meats. They're going to love it. The harder part is going to be, marketing it to get it off the shelves. Like, I think I'll be able to sell it at the top level. It'll be the harder part is to getting people to change what sauces they've been used to buying and stuff like that, and doing it at the price point that is going to take it off the shelves. So I'm pretty sure I've got, the higher level stuff figured out, but it's going to be, working on the marketing and the price point and all that stuff that is going to be more of a challenge for sure.
So now you're all back, you're all swinging, and everything's going around. You got a good future plan going. Just so everybody knows, Duce is a TikTok star.
Yes, that's what the thing my kids get the biggest kick out of for sure.
But how did you get into? I mean, myself, I do the lives. The live started out of the Cracker Challenge videos years ago, and people would come in and they loved the videos. And then I would do I did one little video just to kind of show people around here. And it's like, oh, when's the next video? And it's just like, people like the videos. And hence here I am at show number 114. I've done 114 shows.
Good for
doing you. just doing this. And it all started out of doing silly videos, for the Cracker Challenge from years ago with David Lee Birch, and here we are. And I've watched a lot of your TikTok. Duce does good videos on how to make stuff, and one, they're good videos. Two, the food just makes you want to run out there and eat, which is even better, because then you sit there and you just want barbecue so bad. I think the last one I saw you had out, it was on you were doing burnt ends, I think, which is obviously one of my favorite delicacies is burnt ends. So
yeah, so I think it was back in 2021. I was thinking about how are we really going to take the business to the next level, and I listen to a ton of podcasts and watch a ton of YouTube stuff when I'm working out, and that's kind of like where my ideas start to come from, and what direction we're trying to move the business in, and Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if any of your listeners know him, but he's huge on social. He's his own persona. He's got a huge marketing company called Vayner Media. He represents GE and Pepsi and stuff like that. But he's got this whole perspective on social and how to capture the attention of the masses. And so I was buying into a lot of what he was talking about and decided we're going to go in. We hired a full-time content creator. We paid Sasha Group, which is a marketing agency in the Vayner family. And they developed a plan for us. We talked about TikTok was like 2021 was like kind of like when everybody started to get on TikTok, and we caught it at the right time and just committed to it. We're going to do, one video every single week. And then it ended up being more than that, but that's where we started. And we were able, if you look today, I think we have like 370 something thousand followers. We've multiple videos with over 1 million views. It's just amazing. And then where that is really transitioned to is using that same content then on Facebook Reels, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, and that's kind of part of the whole concept is the pillar content concept. So pillar content meaning you film once and then you use that video. It could be still images, it could be just audio from that. So you film it once and then use it everywhere on all the different platforms in different forms, different lengths of the video and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of guys you see will do podcasts, like Heath Riles, for instance. He'll film a full length podcast and then he'll chop it up and he'll use, 6 different, 30-second clips from that podcast on all the different platforms. And it's a easy way again, I say easy, but it still takes a lot of time. Filming, editing, it's a big process, but then that's the thought process. They can use that one podcast to get so much more content over across all the different platforms.
Well, you do a great job at that, and we'll go back and get a couple more in before we let you go. But I think Greg is talking about your Uncle Dave. If you can't make it, send him to the conference if you can't go. So okay. Greg really wants the Raymonds represented there.
Yes, he does every year.
And then And then Greg says he loved your pork burnt end videos.
Delicious.
So yeah, so Duce, obviously we could keep going for a long, long time. Such an interesting story. You got so many facets of the business. Would really like to get together with you and talk a little bit more on that video end of it, because I do see all these videos, and just got now where I can actually save the videos. I am awful with, so you wouldn't believe it, but I am awful with social media and trying to get things to transfer
so much
to different.
Oh my God. You could spend endless hours on it. And I get a lot of recognition now from what we do. And it never used to be that way. We would post some stuff on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. But once we started to do TikTok, it changed the game for us. I mean, people would reach out to me, Duce, we saw you on the video, or I'd just go to Jewel and say, oh, you just showed up on my TikTok feed. At the gym, I get it all everywhere I go now. I get that stuff, which is great, but never was like that before TikTok. They've been able to reach such a huge audience. It's crazy.
It seems my good friend Ryan Hogan, who does the show with me on Thursday nights. Did you saw someone say TikTok? Ryan does a lot of TikTok. I can't even say it because it's a TikTok stuff himself. I could ask him as well. I'm just awful with social media, and I should do it more. Obviously, I do a lot of the stuff and try to be on there, but I'm just not really good at it. Well, Duce, thanks for coming on. We'll have to have you on the Thursday night show one time. We'll try and get
what
that
do you do on Thursday nights?
Thursday night, it's Ryan and I do a show. It's called "It's All About the BBQ," which kind of it frees me up from just the Wannemaker angle of it. Obviously, we still mention the store a lot. We do mention a lot of things that are here, but it allows me to interview. Like last Thursday we had Brad from Station One Smokehouse on. So it allows me to do other people that aren't that don't revolve just around the actual selling of products at Wannemakers and stuff like that. So it gives a little bit more, and plus it gets it into prime time where you can get a little bit bigger viewership during the videos and stuff like that. So we'll have to get you on that one. So we'll let you rest for a little bit, and then we'll see if we can schedule one for that down the road, and maybe we'll get one. Speaking of that, before I let you go, because I know I asked Brad that on Thursday, is Sweet Baby Ray's, are you going to be doing a Thanksgiving meal package of any type, like a lot of the barbecue restaurants do?
Yeah, yes. And if you go, I'm having a little trouble with our website, guys, to be honest. But what's going to happen is if you go to our website, there'll be something on the top bar, or it should be, this is what we're having a problem with, it should just be a pop-up when you go to our website. You can click and order. You can always call the restaurant. They'll have the order forms or whatever. But for sure, we always do it, and I know everyone does it different. This is just works for us, our business. We do it the pickup before everything's cooked. You get reheating instructions. The way we do the turkey, it actually comes out really nice. We cook it, we cool it down, we slice it in the pan, we put a little chicken or turkey stock and butter and seasoning, and then you just warm it up. You don't have to cook it for hours. You just have to warm it up, and it comes back nice and juicy, actually. So we've played around with it for many years, doing it different ways, and this is the way that actually works the best. So, I was going to say, check us out, SBRcatering.com, truecuisinecatering.com, and then our TikTok channel is at Sweet Baby Ray's Catering. And on Friday, we're going to release a video where we did a scorpion sting chicken wing. So we did scorpion peppers, Reaper peppers, and Tabasco peppers in a sauce on chicken wings. So the editor's having fun editing that one with my taste test. I can't wait to see it.
Wow, could you eat that? I mean,
I took a bite. Yeah, one bite.
Is there milk nearby?
There wasn't, but it should have been. I couldn't even finish my thought after biting into it. It was crazy. And that's why
just for clarification,
the Reaper pepper, now they got Pepper X, who's 3 times hotter. I don't even know how that's possible. It's ridiculous.
I don't even know why you'd want to. Just for clarification, I meant, I assumed it was your Uncle Dave, but Greg meant that your brother-in-law should go down to the conference. So,
Brian, I'll send him down.
Yeah,
he's a Louisville boy.
Yeah,
I like talking.
Yeah. So, Duce, great having you on. It is the show I thought it would be with you being on here. We'll have to get you more involved into just being on every once in a while because
Sure.
you do have a great restaurant. If you're in the Wooddale area, get up there. It's on Irving Park Road there, and it is a great food is fantastic. And if you're looking for obviously catering events, you can always call the Sweet Baby Ray's Catering or the True Cuisine Catering. Duce does a great job. It's all top notch professional. So Duce, look forward to getting up there to the restaurant and eating. Look forward to seeing you. But thanks for coming on.
All right. Thanks for having me, Steve. Keep doing what you do, brother. I love the way you lift up the barbecue community. It's awesome.
It's all we can do is try our best, my friend.
All right. Awesome.
All right. See
care.
You, Duce.
Bye-bye.
Oops, I put you on the screen by yourself. All right. That was Duce Raymond. Great show. It's the show I thought it would always be if I had Duce on here because he's got such a great history just in the barbecue community and world. I don't think a lot of people understand or realize that Sweet Baby Ray's started right here in Chicago. And speaking of which, his uncle, I forgot to mention that to him while he was on, but his uncle, Dave Raymond, was just inducted into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. He has been here at Wannemakers a couple of times. He was actually just here most recently in June with our grill extravaganza. He swung by and so we look forward to hopefully having him back out here next June. Hopefully have Duce out here next June as well, because the grill extravaganza was the first time we've had it since 2019. So we're kind of taking baby steps at bringing it back. So next year I hope to have the full ensemble of everybody that can be here. And it was kind of nice actually hosting 3 Barbecue Hall of Famers and Meathead Dave, Ray, Dr. Barbecue, Lampy, and Sweet Baby Ray, Dave Raymond, having those 3 all here. It was kind of neat. I have a great picture of me and all the Hall of Famers together, which is kind of for a barbecue person, that's kind of cool stuff. I see Ryan is in here, so now he's doing all my technical things to help cue me along. But thank you very much. And so let's bring up the Holiday Meats class, which Ryan has conveniently put onto the screen for me. Thank you. That is this Saturday. There still are some seats available. You can go on to Wannemakers.com. You can go to Wannemakers Home and Garden Facebook page, or you can go to this page, Wannemakers Barbecue and Smoke Supply, and sign up for that. It is one of my favorite classes all year. 1, you do learn a lot. 2, the food that Sean Young from Risky Brisket and Dave is absolutely fantastic. You do get to eat a lot. You're going to have prime rib. You're going to do a lot more hands-on now, so you're going to actually get to do some hands-on stuff. So check that out. Click onto that link. And then also coming up on November 11th will be our usual annual stop. This year, it is at Station 1 Smokehouse in Plainfield. That is going to be usually is our last stop on the barbecue tour for the year. And it actually usually kind of corresponds with somebody important's birthday. And that person being myself, which is usually right around my birthday is on the 14th of November. So after the last couple of years, the one time it did fall on my birthday, so it was kind of nice. So now I just kind of wrap it into me throwing my own kind of birthday celebration and helping support Station 1 Smokehouse, which by all means is one of my favorite places to eat barbecue in the Chicagoland area. So I see Ryan has conveniently posted into the chat. He has posted all the links to the barbecue class that's coming up on Saturday. So come out and join that. If you're looking for the Love Tour, which is kind of a fantastic thing. It's one of my favorite things that I came up with, and Ryan has joined in along with it, which makes it even better. Is because now you got friends involved, and it's just all about helping restauranting to meet people and saying hi and just eating. You can't get 3 better things than that than to help out the friends who own restaurants and small family people who own restaurants, and then be able to meet your friends in the barbecue world that you have grown over the time, and that family. And then best of all is you get to eat. There's nothing that can be said about eating, especially if it's really good barbecue food. So with that, we actually almost ran an hour today. Kept Duce a little bit longer than I thought we were going to, but like I said, fantastic story. Get up there to Sweet Baby Ray's on Irving Park Road. Awesome food, It is a cute little, I shouldn't say cute, it's a neat little restaurant. A lot of pictures, a lot of memorabilia up on the wall from Sweet Baby Ray and stuff like that. And if Duce is there, say hi and tell him that Steve sent you, that you watched the show. Ryan says Roy says it's also Karen's birthday. It is. It's actually a bunch. I think Roy's birthday is in that area. But Karen's birthday is in that area. I think she's on the 12th, if I remember correctly. And I think Roy is the 16th. So all three of us are right in a row. And then I can't get that off of there. And then Ryan said you get to hang out with him, which is probably true. Ryan's a bigger star than I am in this whole barbecue thing. He does the barbecue Blackstone and beer. He keeps putting it up there. Barbecue Blackstone and beer page. So with that, I am going to bid you farewell, and I look forward to seeing everybody again next week. Halloween, we will be on. I don't know what we're going to do. I see if we can find a guest. I know he's been on a couple times, but I mean, dare we? Roy says this is the 20th. His birthday is the 20th, not the 16th. I was close, but I was close. Thinking of the guests with it being Halloween next week. I'm just wondering, maybe I know, like I said, he's been on a couple times in the history of the live from the barbecue department at Wannemakers, but I'm wondering if I should reach out to Mr. Paul Buab of Smoke and Ghost, because that just kind of seems like an appropriate person to have on for Halloween. Would be Smoke and Ghost Barbecue, Paul Buab. So we'll see if I can reach out to him and see if he wants to be on the show, just because I think, one, he's got a great brand and he's rocking it right now in the competition scene. So Ryan says you can have Roy on. He's pretty scary. Oh, maybe Thursday night. We had a night where we opened up the mic to anybody, and all we got was Fred. So you can catch me Thursday night if you want this week. We'll be on Thursday night on the Thursday Night Barbecue Chat at 7 p.m. This week's guest will be Matt Frampton from Urban Slicer Barbecue, because we are kind of wrapping up. This will probably be the final edition of the National Pizza Month celebration. And we did that great show at the National Pizza and Culinary Academy over there in Lisle. So that was actually pretty fun. I actually got to cook a pizza. So if you can, go back and go to It's All About the Barbecue and look that one up. You actually get to see me make a pizza. So follow us on Wannemaker's Barbecue and Smoke Supply. Also, please follow the It's All About the Barbecue page. We're also on YouTube with It's All About the Barbecue. And yes, and then Ryan's got his page, Barbecue Blackstone and Beer, which is a great griddle guy. It's a great thing. He just had his griddle battle, which we talked about a little bit last week on the Thursday night show. So I will see you again next Tuesday, 11 o'clock. We're going to see if we can get a guest. Hopefully it'll be Smoke and Ghost, but we'll see where he's at and what's going on with that. We'll do a class recap because the class is this weekend. And then we'll see what else we can come up with. Otherwise, that's it. I'm out. Greg, thank you very much for signing in. All everybody else who signed in, Roy, Ryan. I know my friend Kelly was out there at one point, and Jeff Nichols, thank you as well. See you probably Thursday night. Oops, if I put his message back on the screen. Who else we got? Gene Mullen, thanks. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Gene volunteers. I volunteer with him. Mike Lip, thanks for signing on. Get up there, the Sweet Baby Rays. Adam, as always, thank you for signing on from over there in Germany. It's always great to hear that. It's always great to hear that you're watching. Always thinking about you guys out there. And then that's it. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Those of you who didn't comment or anything, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Please like and share, and then we'll keep going from there. And then we'll see you next week. As always, please be kind, courteous to all your retail workers, bar attendants, and anybody that works in the social. What are you doing, Ryan? Works in the people, just so they know that you love them, care for them. They're doing the best they can. So please be patient. And with that, I will be signing out. Why do we have? What is going on? We get this comment in here. So please be kind, courteous to all those people. And as always, keep in mind, keep happy, keep sign, because after all, it is our differences which makes us great. And nobody wants to live in a society that's a cookie cutter of itself. So keep that in mind. Let's be a little bit more tolerant of people who are different than us. So see you next week. Bye-bye.